Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I am here and I'm thankful that I'm out here today to say something on behalf of our black people. And I have heard so much things here today that I can speak on, that it would take the whole evening. But I'm just thankful to be here and thankful for all of you that are here, the panels, and each and every one. I am an ordained minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I'm not ashamed of this gospel because it is the power of God unto everyone's salvation. The Jews first, the Greek, the Gentiles. And I am glad that I am one that was engrafted in. Truly, I'm here to let you know that we are a people of strength. And we can do all things through Jesus Christ, who strengthens us. I have seen so much things in this country. When I came here, it was a millionaire family that brought me into this country. And although they were millionaires, they were trying to steal me, to steal from me. And when they couldn't, they called me Silly, Silly Esmay. And at that time, I had a terrible temper. And God knew that I would wind up in prison if He didn't save me. And they shipped me off to Cincinnati, Ohio, to the gentleman's sister. And I almost killed her. I didn't know about black and white. I'm from Jamaica, where everybody is people, you know? And she did me wrong, and I grabbed her. And she started to turn purple on me. But through it all, I'm still here. And I lived in East Orange. And the first time I come in contact with the police, you know, to see police did wrong. Because my husband was a police officer in Jamaica. And he resigned because he didn't want to do the evil of what the police does. And he told me, but I didn't believe him. I always blamed the kids on the street. But one Friday night, I was working with Merrill Lynch in New York. And one Friday night, about 10 o'clock, I came out of my house to put out my garbage. And the police officer, two of them, were across the street searching a young man. Two other boys coming towards me, and they cleared their throat. And the police officers leave the boy they were searching and come right in front of my gate where I was standing and grab the two boys. And when they grab them, they start to search them. One of the police officers drew his gun and he stood up, and the other one was searching the two young men, and then he drew his stick to hit the boy, and I said, "No! No, officer, don't do that." And he looked at me, and I turned to the one with his gun and said, "Please tell him it doesn't call for all of that." And he said, "I'm going to arrest you." I said, "Well, go ahead." Because the parents is waiting on their children to come home, and they didn't do anything. Arrest me and I'll tell the judge. I didn't know the corruption. But then I realized that what is happening, it don't just happen there. From slavery, from they stopped slavery, they created a department called DIFOS. And they decided to control black people. They can't do it as they call it slavery, but they're going to do it in another way. And black people could warn their children and tell them who your enemy is, where you are to go, and where you are not to go, what time you are to come in, be careful. And the children would listen, and they know that. But now they take control of the parents, the control of the children out of the hand of the parents and put it into DIFOS. And tell your parents you cannot teach your children. Because if you spank your child, you will go to jail. Most of them got spanking. Most of them got spanking. And they know correction. You correct your child if you love your child. The Bible tells you that. If you don't like your child, you're not going to correct them. Okay? They do that and they start to control the children from youth. Your parents not supposed to correct you. I was teaching in the school, and the little boy did like this. Hey, Miss Parchment, you see? You scratched me. I'm calling DIFOS. And I almost wetted myself. And the other kids had to tell him, you lied. He said, psych. But Miss Parchment, I know you was frightened. They know. Because that is what the government tells them that the parents cannot do. My son took my car and wrecked it. And when I went to and they arrested my son, and when I went to get my son, they said, well, sign this paper before we can release him to you. You know what? I signed the paper, not reading it. They held my son. And said, you signed the paper for us to keep him. I went to court, and the judge said, to keep my son. I said, no. I'm like, you're not keeping my son. He said, what do you want me to do? I said, take him into your chambers and chastise him. I said, you got beaten when you was a child. I said, you can't tell me your parents didn't chastise you. You can be, my son can be chastised. You got chastisement, and that is why you are here today. I told Judge Giles that. And today, Judge Giles and myself, I haven't spoken to him for quite some time, but we had become friends because I wasn't afraid to tell him the truth. And he told them, give her her son. She said she wants her son. But what I'm trying to say is the white guys didn't give us up freely. In the white community, if a black police officer go in the white community and kill somebody, it's a big thing. Yeah, it's a big thing.
$1 million bill.
Yeah. And if the white police officer come in the black neighborhood and kill somebody, it's also a big thing. So you know what they do? They recruit black police officers in the black community and tell them, go and hunt them. They are deers. Hunt them, kill them, and we have your back.
Yes.
We'll cover you.
Yes.
We'll cover you. So our black men that becomes police officers hunt our black kids and kill them, and nothing is done about it because it's black and black. It is black and black. The guns and the drugs that flows into our community didn't come there by black boys and black men and whatever you call it. They don't have the money to buy those type of drugs. But it come in there and hand it to them and say, we are empowering you to go kill. And they go kill the one another. And you hear nothing of it because it's black on black. We don't fight the people that come in our communities and bring these things to our children. I'll be done in a minute, son. But I have so much. And we sit back. The white guy was working in East Orange Health Department. And his car is full of drugs and guns. He was working in the East Orange Health Department. And on his lunch hour, and when he get off work, he went through and supplied until he was caught. Now what I'm telling you is facts. I was in my bedroom, my bathroom, one Sunday morning, the 4th of February, 2001, when they came in there. In fact, before, in October, I gave my son money to go and buy parts for my car to repair my car because he's a mechanic. And they caught him with the money they stopped him and take my money and said that he was selling drugs near the school. And I arrested him. And I went down to the not the sheriff's department, the prosecutor's office. And the prosecutor gave me back my $200 and told me to go to court. But the lawyer that I got was a drunkard. And while I am fighting for my son, February 4th, Sunday morning, I'm going to church, was taking a shower, and they came in on me, naked, wet, soapy, led by a woman. 7 of them in my apartment, beat me, wring my arm out, take me out of my house naked, barefooted, take me to the hospital, shackle me, and inject me, saying that I'm crazy. Saying that I'm crazy. And I just want you to know that it's not easy. Sometimes you see us, but we have to be strong and be very courageous. Be strong and very courageous, because the Lord our God will see us through. But fight the good fight of faith. Don't let go. Stand up for right and fight for what is right. Fight with everything you got.
Yes, yes. That's right.
You go to the doctors today, they don't want to treat you right. I told them I don't want no generic medication. No generic. And there are doctors that will not write name brand medications. And I asked a doctor once, I said, why the doctors don't want to write name brand medication? He told me, he laughed and he said to me, Miss Parchment, if when I write you a name brand medication, the insurance company pay me half of what he pays the doctor that writes generic medication. And you have some doctors, I have a doctor, Dr. Damien, he refused to write me name brand medication because he gets half, he gets more than if he writes me a name brand medication. But it's all a plan. It's all a plan on the black race. So you talk about some things that I would like to get some paperwork on. Because you know something, this is a learning place. This is a learning place, and this is where our youth needs to be. Our youth need to be here to hear some of what is taught about today. But may God bless you. And whatever we heard today, let us take it, feed on it, don't forget about it, and remember who the enemy is. Remember who the enemy is. And I want to say one thing, and I'm closing. You see all what is going on today? The war, the fight, the innocent lives that is taken. If you take the book of the Bible and you read from Isaiah, Jeremiah, right down to Malachi, it is more updated today than the New York Times. Because everything that is happening today, this 13th day of November, is prophesied in the Bible. I mean, a lot of us don't want to hear about the Bible. But it is prophesied over 3,000 years ago that it's going to happen this day and onward before the end comes. And there's going to be an end. May God bless you. Thank you, Sister Lisa. Thank each and every one of you. I enjoy myself. God bless. And excuse me, one more thing to see how man I'm going to beat him before that. I can't find my cane. Oh,
that's mine. No?
That's not mine. I got beat him.
That's your other cane, the meeting cane. She had a walker.
I gotta finish working first, Miss Parchment. We got another panel. We got I want to bring the some more speakers up too, but you're gonna have to catch me later. I got a little bit more work to do before I get my licks. Round of applause for the panel. Before we move to the Q&A portion, I want to bring up Ingrid Hill.
And I'm going to ask Joanne to come up too.
Yeah, she's a member of POP, but she's also working with NCAP. Policing in New York North is broken, and she's going to speak about the Civilian Complaint Review Board or something like it. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes, and then we're going to go into the Q&A. So panelists, there will be a Q&A after Ingrid Hill's portion.
This is going to be a Q&A. They're talking about the Civilian Complaint Review Board, what we need to do in New York to support it.
Joanne has also been a very active member of NCAP, which is Newark Community for Accounting for Police. As you're aware, if you have the sheet, it tells you the problem that was created. Well, it's been over 30 years in terms of the problems that Newark has had with regards to police. As Brother Carr calls it, police terrorism. In July 22, 2014, the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice came in to do a consent decree with the city of Newark because there had been an ongoing investigation with the city, and the ACLU had been a very active part of it. They had a number of community meetings. COP was one of them that sponsored one of the meetings where the Department of Justice came in to listen to the testimonies of people in the community who had been abused by the police. So as a result of the DOJ coming in, Mayor Baraka from the city of Newark put out an executive order in 2015. Which creates the Civilian Community Review Board, which is very, very critical, because the way that he has designed it gives full power to the CCRB, which is the nickname. The power to receive, investigate, hear, and make findings and recommendations for action. But that does not cover in terms of murders, because that has to go to the prosecutor's office. But one of the things is that you have about 7 groups or individuals who are representing the community. And some of them are based in terms of tenure, the amount of time that they're going to have. But one of the things that's happening now is that police unions are going to start to push back. And they are going to take the city, we know that they're going to end up taking the city of Newark to court. Because they do not want the Attorney General for the state of New Jersey, Hoffman, or acting Attorney General, they do not want to share the power of giving, in terms of making decisions in terms of what's going to happen with the police who abuse their powers. The other thing too is they talk about the Internal Affairs Department division of the Newark Police Department, but the reality is the Internal Affairs has never worked on behalf of the Newark citizens.
That's right.
So they're going to try to say, you know, and we know that there's some changes being made through Mayor Baraka, but he still very strongly believes that the CCRB is going to should go ahead as it has been recommended. So what we're asking people to do, the NCAP has been out there in terms of setting up information sessions, because one of the things that we find is that a lot of Newarkers do not know what the CCRB is and the power of the CCRB. So we're trying to educate the community to let them know what it is, so when the pushback begins, which we know is going to happen, we can push back. Because the reality is, as we've heard from the other panels, we are at war. Okay? I mean, people are at war with the black community, the African community, because it's national. It's even going on in South America in terms of what's going on with our brothers in Mexico and Colombia and all the other places. So the thing about it is that we have to at least educate our community. And just as we talked about some of the issues that y'all had as part of your panel, a lot of people don't know. So that, you know, so our thing is in terms of how do we begin to mobilize the masses of the people? What are the strategies that we can use? And that's one of the things that we're looking at in terms of NCAP. So if you need additional information, please feel free. If you're interested in joining and being a part of NCAP, see us, because we are mobilizing the Newark community. We're trying to mobilize. And I know all of you, a lot of the people who are here are doing the work too. So, you know, we can see how we can support each other in terms of what has to be done. The other thing too, real quick, is in addition to Abdul Kamal, we had Kashad Ashford, who was killed. He was 23 years old. He was killed on Ridge Road by the Lyndhurst Rutherford and state troopers. Then we have the case of Jerome Reed, who was murdered with his hands up down in Bridgeton, New Jersey. And we have the 14-year-old Radaz Hearns, who again, the grand jury has not found the officers guilty, as they not have found the officers guilty of any other. And they're having, churchmen are having a meeting at the State House Monday at 10 o'clock in Trenton. But the other thing too that we'll find is we have met, just to give you a little update, since you're dealing with police brutality, we have met with the Department of Justice following complaints, having them investigate the civil rights violation that they did on all 3 of them. And we probably will be meeting with the office with regards to Radaz Hearns as well. So, you know, as we continue, we will keep people updated, because unfortunately, they're not going to be the last victims. No. Okay. So, power to the people. Power to the people.
You know, excuse me, young man, I didn't even get to talk about my son that was murdered. Well, I don't know if it's the police that murdered him, but the scene was cleaned up 10 minutes after he was shot 6 times in the back. The scene was cleaned up. They didn't try to contact me. They took him to the hospital where he didn't die on the spot. They took him to the hospital and he died. But before that they did that, they were trying to kill him in the prison where they put him before they came in, when they arrested him. They tried to kill him in the prison. They charged him for hitting a guard, and then they transfer him to Southern State where I couldn't visit him, and then they bring him back to Trenton, and then they bring him from Trenton back to Northern State. And a woman from the state called me and told me, Miss Parchment, his son is back in Northern State, and he is in a gang unit. They say he's a gangster, but I know he's not a gangster. And she gave me three phone numbers to call, because for the time he was there, he couldn't call me. They wouldn't let him call me. And the first number I called, it was the right number. And the man was very angry with me. And I told him, I said, sir, guess what I'm going to do? I have a house that is paid for. And I have a house that is paid for, and tomorrow morning I'm going to get it, get money with it.
The bonds, bail bond?
No, not bail bond.
Equity.
Where you refinance. I'm going to refinance it and use the money to investigate the prisons of New Jersey. He said, but why would you do that? I said, because my son is a gangster. But his son will be coming home in 3 months. I said, how is he going to come home in 3 months when you say he's a gangster, remember? And I said, well, I'll have to call the refinance. No, sir. So I have to go.
How was you?
They take him out, not knowing.
That was good.
The next morning they were taking him to court. Next morning they found him guilty of being a gangster. 10 minutes after they found him to be a gangster, the man that I spoke to walked in the courtroom and told them, he's not a gangster, you know, take him out of the unit. They put him in the unit to kill him, but he said he was a very outspoken person like myself. So he put up on the wall, neutral, because every gang unit, he have the sign of every gang unit coming to recruit him. So he put up on his whatever it is, neutral, and he made a tape and sent to me, and he sent them one. Anything happened to him, they are responsible. So that morning they went in, the man I spoke to went in and told them he's not a gangster and he would be out. He came home 2 months' time, and a month after I came home, they killed him.
Wow.
There's also a political prisoners working group inside the Black is Back Coalition. And again, I want everyone to go to www.blackisbackcoalition.org. There's several different working groups, and what Ms. Parchment is describing is a constant thing that our people experience when incarcerated by the state. You know, these are recurring issues. This is a process. You know, this is why we're charging, you know, the U.S. government with genocide. You know, this is another form of that genocide. You remove a person from a group, add them to another group, you hinder them from being a part of their family, and the list goes on and on. You know, and again, I applaud that. I'm glad that people are here, but we definitely need people to go and sign these petitions, share these petitions, because we need to increase the numbers and join the organization. We're going to have a quick Q&A. We're getting closer to the end, and we still have another panel to go. But we're gonna have a quick 10-minute Q&A for this panel here. So if there's any questions, if you can come up to the mic, please make your questions brief as possible. Statements are good, but we would prefer the statements to be posted on our sites. But if there's any questions in regards to this police terrorism panel, we're open now. Any questions? You got one, brother? Okay. Someone left the pen up here? TV pen?
I just want to say, I actually have a short statement, but I just want to thank her for inviting me here, and I really learned a lot being here. And this is why us people got to work close together and help each other because of the genocide that's happening to black people. And I'm just so glad that you invited me here. I learned a lot, and I just want to say thank you. And I want to join Black Coalition today. Right. Thank you.
Thanks for being so brief. I appreciate the briefness of this statement. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I wanted to add, you know, when Sister Parchment was telling her story, and I forget your name, Sister. Michelle was telling her story. I mean, all of the stuff related to her son and our community, that's how they get African women. Like this is the struggle can't even get to the part of winning the revolution because we're too busy trying to solve how to get our children out of prison and challenging the damn state. I mean, that's the reality of it. And waiting and fighting to get justice for our sons.
That's right.
Yes.
Because in no case, like she said, has the police ever been indicted except for maybe the one where the white kid got murdered.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
You have?
I was just gonna say real quick, I know a case where they got indicted with a police officer in Morristown, New Jersey.
Okay.
Black officer. He goes into a psychiatric ward. Somebody was, acting up. He hits at him, doesn't injure him, don't injure him or anything like that. He was in there when he was a sergeant and he told the other officers to disarm because he didn't want there to be any violence. He realized it was very volatile, and somehow he goes in there. I guess he has a baton. He hits at the guy. Doesn't really hit him. No injuries or anything. I don't even know don't even understand the charges. They indicted him. He was fired and all that kind of stuff. His name is Jamal Hogan.
Okay.
This was very recent in Morristown, New Jersey. He got indicted.
He's an African though.
Nothing.
So, and that's why I feel like we were working with some mothers in Ferguson, and working with some mothers in DC. And all of the rat race that they put mothers through after the police murder their children is the same. And I hope that at some point, everybody can get together to arm parents in general around the response that the state gives, because it's the same. They don't indict, they don't arrest, they suspend them with pay. They put them on desk leave, then they go through this whole process of bringing a trial, and they do all this only to say, sorry, we're not gonna press charges. And this happens over and over and over again. And I think that we have to come to a point where African mothers and families come together and say, let's do a preemptive strike and prevent this from happening to anyone else. And then if it does happen, we'll be ready for them.
We had another brother that was coming to make a presentation on this panel, Chairman Larry Ham. He's actually here. So we're going to invite him to the microphone and give us his presentation. I'm keeping time, Chairman here. I'm keeping time. And I got a beating coming at the end of this forum. This has been a tough one for me. But
why don't I just participate in the question and answer?
No, you can't.
No,
go up.
Come on, man.
Y'all have to give me a second to breathe. I just left Vineland, New Jersey, which is like 2.5 hour drive from here, and talking to some folks down there about education. But Sister Lisa Davis, give her a hand. She's such a hard worker.
Black is Back Healthcare Working Group.
And the Black is Back Healthcare Working Group. Give them a hand. All right. See, they left the time thing on the podium.
No, that's it, that's the time. That's the time, Chairman.
I really don't have to speak, and I'm sure that the people who spoke previously told you all that needed to be said. I just came in on the end of Sister's presentation just to bring you up to date, and you tell me if it's been said said already or not. We've been working with 4 cases recently, more than 4, but 4 in the forefront. You heard from Michelle Kamal. Her son Abdul was fired on 15 times, hit 10 times. He was unarmed, had a cell phone in his hand. It happened on Stanley Street in Irvington, New Jersey. And she's not here, but we've been working with Regina Ashford, the mother of Kashad Ashford, and the grandmother, Cecile Hepburn. Kashad was in a car. He was in a stolen car, but the car was disabled and stuck in the ditch. And the police, instead of just going and getting him out, decided to open fire on the car. Just like in, what was that, Cincinnati, where they fired 137 shots on a couple that was unarmed and had not broke any laws. They fired on Kashad, and this was obviously an assassination because they didn't hit the other passenger. They were sitting together. Kashad was hit 7 times, 4 times in the head. How do you hit somebody 4 times in the head? That's right, accidentally. And they killed Kashad Ashford. And we're also working with Jerome Reed, his mother. I don't see Sheila here, but she was here with us early in the week. His mother, Sheila, and stepfather, Munir. You all probably saw Jerome's dash cam video from the police vehicle where he's getting out the car, his hands are raised, and he's shot at point blank range and killed. He's killed by a black officer. Brahim Days. And officers that killed Abdul were black officers. And the last case is that of Radaz Hearns, and the grand jury just returned, I believe it was Friday it was Monday. They finished their work on Friday, but they didn't announce it until Monday. Of course, no bill, no indictment. 14-year-old boy, he was running away from plainclothes police officers. He probably didn't even know that they were police. They shot him in the back 7 times. One of the bullets is still in him. And the miracle is that Radaz survived. But you're not supposed to survive. You're supposed to die. So because he didn't die, they put some felony charges on him. 12 hours later, they said they found a gun that he supposedly, allegedly to have. But we know that story. That's an old story. That somebody said in the pop meeting on Thursday night, the police carry what they call a throwdown.
Yes,
They
and
have
drugs.
That's right, and drugs. And
Yes.
so when they do something that they ain't supposed to do, they throw down the gun or throw down the drugs so that they can charge you with something and make you silent or plea bargain.
Yes, the police told me the bad.
That's right.
This is a bad.
That's right. And Miss Parchment, I'm sure she told her story.
Yeah.
Miss Parchment, you know what the judge said in her case. She won her municipal court case. Did she tell you that?
No.
She won her municipal court case in East Orange. East Orange police run up in her house, brutalized her, dragged her out of her house naked. This 65-year-old grandma. Dragged her out of her house naked. Took her to the hospital, restrained her, chained her to the bed, and then without permission, they administered drugs to her, which she did not consent to. And the judge, the municipal judge in her case, Miss Parchment's case came to us like, I think it was 2002. Was it Miss Parchment? 2001?
2001.
2001. And the judge said what had been done to Mrs. Parchment was an abomination. And they found officers guilty in municipal court. But see, the whole system is rigged. It's rigged from top to bottom. It's rigged. It's a rigged system. That's why people call it a criminal injustice system. It ain't got nothing to do with justice. Even when you win, they got PBA, they got FOP that are automatically assigned officers. They don't even have to pay those attorneys. And they're the best attorneys that money can buy. And if you win, they will challenge that. They know that you're poor.
Yes.
And that you can only go so far in the judicial system. Because you ain't going to go nowhere with a public, what do they call it? A public defender. A public defender is just going to make you plea out. That's all they're there for. They don't even try cases. They make you plea out to the lowest charge. So you can't get anywhere with a public defender. Then you hire a private attorney. Now, I don't care if he's black or white. If they're not doing it pro bono, you will go bankrupt before it's over. You will go bankrupt. And so these police, they have unlimited resources. Not to mention the fact that the laws even work in their favor. Now, if you go out and you kill somebody, you're going to be found before it's over. You're not going to have 48 hours to get your story together. You know, they have that. The police have the privilege. They have time to get their story together, get their attorney together. You don't get all of that. You go straight to jail. You will, if you don't get killed. And you will go from jail to court and to prison. They will set your bail so high that you can't get out. So it's a rigged system. It's rigged from top to bottom. And that's why across this country, we see, as the previous speaker said, again and again, they return no bill, no indictment, except from time to time when the people are organized. From time to time, they stumble upon the wrong group of people. They stumble upon impedum, or they stumble upon POP, or they stumble upon another group of fanatics who, like pit bulls, gonna lock down on it and not gonna let it go. And from time to time, we win. That's what happened in the case of Earl Faison here in Orange, New Jersey. They killed him. An officer had been killed, a black female police officer named Joyce Carnegie. She was killed. The police went on a wilding. They had a description. They arrested every black person they could see. Every black person. 3 times, the county prosecutor, who was a black woman, and I keep saying this, I said, well, y'all say, well, why do you keep talking about black? Why ain't they? No, see, we got to understand the role these people play regardless of their color. You think just because they black somehow that's going to work in your favor. I remember when I was living on Ridgewood Avenue, Ridgewood and Avon, 4 years old, my grandfather told me, he said, the black cop will beat you harder than the white cop will. He told me that in 57 because they want to compensate. They want to prove themselves. You know, don't blame it just on the cops, because some of us do the same thing. We on the job, we trying to prove ourselves. We ain't got to prove ourselves to nobody. But see, they don't want to be black. They want to be blue. They want to be blue. But see, it wears thin, because when the chips are down, they'll send them up. They'll sell them out. In fact, black cops get killed. Every time you pick up the paper, you're reading about a black undercover police officer that was shot and killed by his white co-worker. So, but I just point that out to say that Pat Hurt was a black woman, and three times, she went before the TV cameras, held a press conference 3 times, saying, we have the suspect. We've caught the person. Went on TV, all the stations, 3 times. 3 times they were wrong. 3 times. Then they killed Earl Faison. He was dead within 45 minutes. The police up there in Orange said, they wrote in the report, he fell off the chair and died. They actually wrote that. This is not my exaggeration, my alliteration. They said he fell off the chair and died. And they expected us to accept that. The mother, the father, and the stepmother came to us and said, please help us. We believe our son was killed. I said, well, why do you believe that? Because we saw the body say that the footprint was on his forehead. You know how soles of shoes have a certain cut? They said the footprint was in his forehead. So we held a demonstration. And then, you know, there's a lot of unclarity in our community on the role of the police. You know, a lot of people believe the police are their friend. That's because so many of us have police in our family. You know, unfortunately, it becomes the employer of last resort for a lot of people. So our brothers and our cousins, they be police officers. And we know our brother and our cousin are all right, so that must make the police all right. But they're not all right. They are a force that is in place to control the black population. That's the way it was under slavery. That's the way it is today. It's a system of racial control that's been in place for nearly 4 centuries. Or if we count from the time that 4 centuries from the time that Africans were brought to the Western Hemisphere. But we demonstrated. The reason I say sometimes we are unclear, because within our own organization, we were going to have a demonstration. And the demonstration we were going to have just happened to be the same day as the Sisters' Way. Now, this is a black woman police officer. We had a knockdown, drag-out fight because half the group wanted to have the demonstrations, and the other half said, no, we're not going to have the demonstration because that's going to be disrespectful to the system. But unfortunately, by the ones that wanted to protest by a narrow vote, we won and we had to protest. And the police director called me up into the office and said, look, this kid, now this is a 27-year-old black man. See, we're never complete human beings in their eyes. 27-year-old with children. Police director said, this is a kid. This kid was not guilty of any crime. But we continue to protest. We protest for 2 years on the Faison case. We actually went in, this is a little known fact, we actually went in and protest inside the police station. I don't know how many of y'all ever had that. A protest, we went in the police station. And that was pretty hairy. You know, it got pretty, because they was like out and they were armed and everything else. When we marched in Orange, they brought out all the armed police. They had snipers up on the roofs. Were any of y'all in pop at that time? This is 1999. Were any of y'all here? Nope. If on Main Street where the post office is, the police were up on the roof, the snipers, with their guns trained on us. Now they got their guns trained on us. We're not the criminal. The criminal probably was holding a rifle trained on us. So the point I'm trying to make is that the best antidote to police brutality is an organized people. That's the best antidote. That's the best answer, is to organize people. And the best weapon that we have right now, this is one man's opinion, and I know we can debate this afterwards, but I'm telling you, the best weapon we have in the fight against police brutality and the fight on any issue that affects our community is our power to disrupt.
That's right.
That is the most important power. Now, I'm going to say this. I support economic withdrawal. I'm supporting the blackout days, the people they call for national blackout. I support that. Why wouldn't I support that? Why wouldn't you support that? To withhold our dollars. But I'm telling you, that is not the greatest power. And you know what I think? This is a personal opinion I have. I think that belief in the dollar comes from people's faith in the capitalist system.
That's right.
Yeah.
They
They have, in a very subconscious way, we have bought into the capitalist ideology
Yes.
that money is everything.
Yes.
And that if you don't have money, you don't have anything. And if you really want to hurt your enemy, hold your dollars. Now, it does have an impact. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. Don't get me twisted here. It does have an impact. But the impact is not as great as we believe. And I believe that some of this is based on our faith in capitalism. We don't call it that. But that's what it is. That somehow money makes the world go round. And if you hold your money back, that will bring them to their knees. But I want to tell you something. Count up the number of boycotts that have not worked against the number of boycotts that have worked.
Right.
See, don't take my word for it. We got something now. We got the internet, the fountain of all wisdom. And you can fact check anything anybody says. Count up the number of boycotts that actually succeeded. It's only a handful. The power that we have is the people. That is our power. That is our greatest resource. And our success in the struggle against police brutality is commensurate with our ability to organize people. The greater our ability to organize and mobilize people and confront the people who are hurting us will be the greater the degree of success that we will have. Now that's just my opinion. I'm not even asking you to accept my opinion. We can debate it. But I'm telling you, when we do what the folks in Ferguson have been doing, and when we do what the folks in Baltimore have been doing, and when we get to a point that we can do that on a regular basis, then things will begin to change. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Because it's happening all over the world. But my time is up. I've already abused it. Power to the people.
So that concludes our state terrorism panel. A lot of applause for all the panelists once again. Over here, Esmay Parchment. We're gonna move to our next panel discussion. It's human trafficking panel discussion. We're gonna bring back Sister Sagita Schwar, a double dose. And also we're gonna bring up Sister Sandra Hayward, who's a member of POP, but also a stalwart member of the Black is Back Healthcare Working Group.
And the founder of Popcorn.
And founder of Popcorn Kids, and I'm sure you'll let us know about some other things too as well. So a round of applause for our last panel, everybody.